I'm about 15 minutes away.
Okay.
So just give me a
Okay.
heads up. Playground World van. We'll keep our distance. Just need you to show me where we're putting the fun in the backyard. All right?
Oh, all right. Thank you.
I'll see you in a little bit. Thanks. All
All
right.
right.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
All right, it's 9 a.m. and just walked the property with the customer, talked about the layout. So here we go. Let's take it all back and unbox it. Okay, 9:05. I got the trampoline back here. This is a S155 13 by 13. They just have the trampoline. So a couple things really notice really quickly. I lay all the boxes down bottom side up. It took me like 5 minutes to bring everything back here with a hand dolly. Save your life. Anyway, because we're going to cut away and open the box, cut the tape, so even save you a few minutes and one less flipping of the box if you start with all the boxes up. And as you'll see as I go along, you're even thinking about your paper and plastic management. All the cardboard will go in the long boxes, all the plastic will go in the short square box. So when I bring it back to the warehouse to break it down, I already have the recyclables and the plastics in separate boxes. Long box number one. Laying out the frame. I do build it upside down. Two schools of thought. I like to do it upside down, put the legs up. Single person, I'm building it in two sections and flipping it. The other school of thought is building it with the frame, the leg side down, but then you have to pick up every frame all the way around. I think it's a little bit more labor. Maybe it's a little cleaner on a wet day when you build it right side up. And again, paper management. All right, box number two. So all the metal tubular frame is laid out. Also, I start putting out my rods and my net rods, and I'll separate those. So I'll wind up having a quarter of a bundle on the four sides, and that works really well as I'm working around. I don't have to keep doubling back and picking up more rods. I always think this is kind of funny. Two people working together, 8 hours. Read the instructions, 4 hours. Two people read the instructions, watch the video, 2 hours. Let's see. I open up the bolts, put it in the top lid of the leg box, and I put that in the center. So I can keep all my bolts without falling in the grass, and they're only a few steps away as I'm working my way around the tramp. All right, and this trip I have all the cardboard in one long box. I can put the lid on, close that up. All my plastic's gonna go over there. I lay out my legs all the way around with the centerpiece, center rods. Intuitively, the yellow dot, when you install it, the yellow dot always goes to the outside. There's a little offset on that, so it's pretty intuitive that way. All right, so it's 9:13. I'm ready for start assembling. I like to clean the workspace up so I'm not constantly tripping over or dragging little pieces of plastic around. So you can see I have all the cardboard in that box, all my plastic. I still have the net and the matte plastic, but I'm pretty much good to go. So laying out the frame, there's 8 of these long bolts, and it's always bolt on the inside. Bolt on the inside, both on the frame bolts and leg bolts. That'll make it easier when you are using your hammer drill or your impact wrench. And aesthetically, it looks prettier that way too. Okay, so we have 6 of the 8 legs on because it's in 2 pieces. You know, a 2-man crew can just go ahead and do it all, put it all together and flip it together, but one person can't flip it on the 11 feet. So I'll do 2, put it together. I'll show you that in a second. All right, so I flipped it. Now we're just gonna tie these things together, put the last legs on, and start tightening up the bolts. All right, now it's time to go ahead and tighten up all our bolts. Impact hammer, you have a 19 millimeters, or I think that's 3/4, and then a 1/2 inch. It really doesn't matter if you do the leg bolts or the frame bolts first. I pretty much whatever I have left in my gun from the last job I will start with. As we work around, also take a look at these center rod posts, make sure they're all seated, because that'll come back to haunt you if you have one that kicks out as you're putting the rods on, because the tension of rods kick that out, then you wind up having to go back and take the trampoline halfway apart to get those center rods back in. So here we go. All right, 9:22-ish, and the frame is all together, all tightened down and ready to put the net on. All right, so the net actually goes on backwards and upside down initially. There's a green tab. I'm trying to do this while I'm filming. First rod goes through the green tab goes into the green dot hole. That way now your mat is oriented to the entire frame. Then I just walk this around. I'll show you in a second. All right, so I have the net laid out. So the next part, it's kind of impossible for me to film and do this same time. So you might see that I have my rod bundles laid out. I have about a quarter of the total bundles in 4 positions. I have all the rods oriented in the right position so I'm not constantly flipping them. What I do is I take 3 or 4 of them, one in my right hand, and everything else actually goes between my legs, and I pinch them and is walking backwards this way. That way I'm not constantly bending over and picking up more rods. By the time I get over here, I'll be out of rods. I just reload and keep going all the way around. Okay, 9:30, all the rods are in. Now this is where the magic happens. Putting the mat on. All right, on the frame, you're gonna see 8 blue dots. There's 2 on each of the 4 sides on the straight sections. On the mat, you're gonna see these blue tabs. There's 2 on the flat sections. So basically it helps you keep the mat oriented to the frame. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna put all the blue dots on first. That's also gonna keep equal tension as you go around, really important. So how I attack this, I do all the blue dots first. Then I do like 3 into the corners to keep equal tension. Then you can go back and do all the rods. Impossible for video this, but this is what people are paying for. Anybody can do what I just did now, but I can do all this pretty quickly. So let's get going. Okay, so I got all the blue dots on. So how I attack this, and there's no really method to the math, I guess I'll start here. I'll skip the first 3, then I'll do 3 in the middle. I'll skip 2, I'll do 3. I'll skip 3, I'll do 3. So do like 3 in the corners, 2 extra, and that'll keep equal tension. And then I finish, just go all the way back around and put all the rods in. All right, 9:33, all the rods are in. So now we're gonna invert the net. We're gonna pull it back up. So bringing it up, try to do this without talking. But carefully, you don't wanna get hung up on one of these. Keep an eye out so as you pull the net. So you gotta pop it over the one corner, then that'll create your slack. So these long rods, there's 4 of them, go into this blue tab and they run along that length to stop the tramp from sagging. Sometimes you have a little trouble here at the end. So I use my screwdriver and I'll show you as a little lever. So put those rods in. Sometimes you need a little help. So I use this as a little lever like that and drop it in the slot. All right, home stretch. So net rod pulls. Again, let's see if I can do this while I'm filming. Basically sneak it in like that. Push it up to the top. And you're gonna feel a little pop. And you know it's seated. See if I can do this, my legs help like here. Pump, there you go. 12 of those. All right, net rods are all in. If you were gonna do a hoop, this would be the time you would install your hoop, normally in a corner. So all we gotta do is pop the net up. Okay, so net is up. So we're gonna do a quick little walk around, and what I do is, if you just kind of grab the net as you're walking, pull this around, it will slowly ride up. Sometimes it looks like your poles are crooked because the net hasn't reached the mat yet. You kind of walk around, looks prettier. All the way around, slides on up. All right, pretty much done. We take pictures of serial number, net, the mat's right there, and the frame is on a sticker somewhere on one of the long pieces right here. We're always checking the center post right there. See, I will fix that. But all right, so I just tap that a few times. That's all set. We're looking pretty good. Our trash is squared away, ready to go in the van. There's the manual. All those other extraneous pieces go in the manual Ziploc bag. And time to put my trash away, grab the owner, and go through the final walkthrough. Oh, by the way, it is 9:47.